In this video, we're going to talk about my favorite. I was going to say one of my favorites. It is my favorite, I guess, non-stimulatory nootropic, non-racetam nootropic, non-modafinil nootropic, non-like choline source nootropic, but it's a nootropic compound that works on the brain in so many protective ways, neuroprotective ways, and crosses over the blood-brain barrier and does interesting stuff and increases a bunch of cool chemicals in the body that facilitate good brain function. But you wouldn't normally class it as a nootropic, but I do, and I take it frequently enough, and I love the nootropic benefit that I get from it. That was long, but I had to explain the whole thing, and I'm going to explain the rest of it coming up. Okay, if you are a nootropics enthusiast, if you're really into nootropics, man, if you like them a lot like I do, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep because you be having dreams about racetam and stuff, well, I got 4 majorly important things for you. Number 1, if you're new to nootropics, we wrote a guide for you. Okay, if you're brand new, you're new to the channel, thanks for being here. What's up? Ryan Michael Bella here, thanks for being here. Great to have you here. Look, we wrote a guide for you. It's called Smarter, Better, Faster. It explains how to use nootropics, where to get nootropics, how to stack nootropics, how to cycle nootropics. Then also gives you very powerful stacks that I've created. It took me about 9 years to learn those stacks and learn all these distinctions. If you're looking around the web and going, information about nootropics is a little disparate, get the Smarter, Better, Faster guide. This is what I want you to do. Go to livecortex.com. The link below for Smarter, Better, Faster is in the description. It's a digital book. It's a digital guide on nootropics. It's $24. It'd be the best $24 you ever spent. Buy that at livecortex.com. Secondly, if you're anytime, anywhere in your sort of space within taking nootropics, we wrote a guide on racetams. That's effectively a pro racetam stack list. It's essentially like 9-year nootropics veteran reveals all major, powerful, limitless like racetam stacks. I'm not trying to be hypey. I'm really trying to emphasize how powerful this thing is. It's called the Racetam God Guide. Also digital, so you can download it for iPhone, iPad, Android, Kindle, whatever you got. This is what I want you to do. Go to livecortex.com. That thing's $24.99. Again, a good spend, valuable spend. We make all of our stuff super valuable, so the value exchange is worth it for folks. Download it. The Racetam God Guide. Thirdly, we got a nootropic stack. It's called Cortex. Very powerful. Frontal lobe, mental energy, speed of processing, motivation stack. Essentially, it's the productivity stack. We built it really for entrepreneurs, folks that need to get 18 hours of brain performance out of themselves, but nootropics experimenters take it, love it, like it, use it, talk about it. It's awesome. It's called Cortex. Get it at livecortex.com. Last product we do is nootropic consulting. So, you could sit in a call with me. The package is a call with me, a video or audio call with me, 15 additional email correspondences to help you refine a stack, make a stack, create your own stack, right? Shave some stuff off your stack. We just talked to a guy who had a bunch of really powerful stuff in his stack, but we were trying to figure out how we can, shave some of the stuff off of the stack, and we got a good solid plan for him to shave some of the good stuff off, but continue getting the good brain function, kind of for good measure. Get all that stuff at livecortex.com. Okay, look, I've said many times that over the course of taking nootropics for 9 years, you really get, in the latter years, you really get smart about nootropics. You cycle more, you cycle between stacks, you learn to mimic like very powerful, potent nootropics effects you don't want to take every day with other stacks. Like, you learn how to mimic the modafinil-like effect with a phenylpiracetam, tyrosine, noopept, vinpocetine stack in a very particular combination, right? We break some of those, all those stacks down in the Racetam God Guide like we talked about before. That's what I mean about the thing being so powerful. One of the distinctions I make later on in my career, in my tenure, look at this, I'm using all these career words for nootropics. My time taking nootropics is that I'm really into the nootropics that go in and basically are super neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory. They like decrease oxidative stress in the brain. They'll protect brain cells from alcohol and things of this nature. I'm really into those nootropics because though you take them and you don't, it's not like modafinil or Adderall or something where you're just like, whoop, you notice some crazy stimulatory effect. Because sometimes I don't want that. Like stimulation, sometimes I'll just take some theacrine or drink some espresso. But what they do, and what I'm really interested in nootropics that do these days, is nootropics that go in and, like, again, are a massive antioxidant, that cross over the blood-brain barrier and are antioxidant, that increase, like, chemicals that help you to detox, right? That you know, go into the brain and do work on neurotransmitters in a very particular way, but they're not considered nootropics. You know, that work on a way that restores brain function, like, you know, in an instance of like some sort of brain injury. You know, even things on the low side of the spectrum, like, you know, coming from a hangover and wanting your brain to function well. And things that have been demonstrated in rat studies to improve people's brains, like post-stroke, or rats' brains post-stroke, things of this nature, okay? And one of them that is literally my favorite of this class of nootropics, that class that's not necessarily like, oh, it's a racetam and it's stimulatory in this nature, but, you know, or modafinil or something, but it is massively, you know, neuroprotective and beneficial for brain function, and it exerts its effects differently than most nootropics, but as a result, it's a nootropic compound because of the ensuing brain performance, is alpha-lipoic acid, okay? ALA. Massively underrated. It's a nootropic, guys. ALA is a nootropic. There's no question about it. I know some of you vets in here that have been taking nootropics for a long time and be like, yeah, dude, yeah, totally. You know, some of the smartest naturopaths I know, a guy named Lucas, a friend of mine named Lucas from Australia, naturopath, you know, understands the power of stuff like this, and particularly ALA. Okay, so look, here are some of the primary reasons that ALA is one of the most powerful nootropics there are. It's something I'm taking more and more, and sometimes like I'll just take low dose ALA and drink some caffeine and I am in. Okay, number one, this is some pretty interesting stuff, and this is all from a self-tacked article which has like innumerable amounts of references where you can go and read the PubMed studies that demonstrate exactly the basis of the points that we're talking about here. Number one, alpha-lipoic acid increases glutathione production. Increases glutathione. Glutathione is this master detox chemical. Okay, and one of the ways that glutathione improves brain performance is by increasing glutathione concentrations in the brain. Okay, that's pretty significant when you've got a detox chemical that's increased in quantity. The amount of impact that detoxing the body, particularly just getting rid of heavy metals, getting rid of environmental chemicals. Like, look, there are people like, oh, that's quackery. There are bioaccumulating chemicals, you know, in the environment, methyl mercury and others, which we're going to get to in a second, many others. They're messing with your brain performance. Sometimes when we do consults with folks, before we even give them aniracetam or talk about how to take in a particular, you know, regularly known nootropic compounds, we'll work on clearing toxins from their body. We'll work on getting their digestive system straight, and they'll soon quickly find that brain performance is like, it's like they took a nootropic. They're functioning like me all the time, just because they cleared out toxins. Next, ALA increases acetylcholine quantity. Okay, talk about doing nootropic stuff, right? Not necessarily thought of as a nootropic ALA, at least in the traditional context, compared to racetams and other things, but it increases, quantifiable increases in acetylcholine take place when you take alpha-lipoic acid. One of the other interesting things that it does is increase the quantity of an enzyme called choline acetyltransferase. Choline acetyltransferase, you might know if you studied acetyl L-carnitine, ALCAR, is basically an enzyme that will eventually, you know, convert itself or donate, you know, to the acetylcholine production process. So you've got acetylcholine production happening as a result of taking ALA. Boom, that makes it a nootropic right there, but that's not even close to what, you know, the full spectrum of things that it does. I got a list here. It decreases acetylcholine esterase in the hippocampus. Okay, acetylcholine esterase is an enzyme that breaks acetylcholine down. Okay, so like, look, it's a little simplistic to say, okay, well, if you decrease this enzyme, then you have more acetylcholine, and that means more brain function. But that is essentially the gist of it, particularly in the hippocampus, which is a memory-centric region of the brain. So therefore, more acetylcholine functioning in the hippocampus. And guess what? One of the primary mechanisms of action or primary neurological effects of oxiracetam is, and aniracetam, increased acetylcholine in the hippocampus. Okay, nootropic benefits right there. Fourthly, in a study where this was in rats, where there was methyl mercury, which is just a particular type of mercury that's like, I think it's also called quicksilver. It stays liquid at room temperature, just a kind of mercury. It can bioaccumulate and become toxic. Basically, there was methyl mercury induced brain injury that alpha-lipoic acid started to reverse, okay, and started to repair and work on. Pretty profound stuff. Again, you know, in the traditional definition of nootropics being neuroprotective and, you know, neurorestorative, if that's even a word, ALA is right there. Next, there's a study where it talked about how it stabilized major functional cognitive elements in people that have Alzheimer's disease. It's postulated that in Alzheimer's disease, among other things like beta amyloid plaques, that acetylcholine functionality, just the whole cholinergic system goes awry, right? And so perhaps, I mean, the study sort of postulates that it's through cholinergic mechanisms and perhaps the increase in glutathione in the brain that people with Alzheimer's disease have amelioration or alleviation of their symptoms via taking alpha-lipoic acid. Okay, I'll link to the main page in this YouTube video, and if this goes on the livecortex.com website, where all these studies are hosted. And lastly, rats that suffered strokes. Okay, rats that suffered strokes, given ALA almost immediately post-stroke, had significant, quick restorative effects on their brain as a result of taking the alpha-lipoic acid. Okay, so nothing to gloss over. Rats that had strokes very quickly got administered alpha-lipoic acid into their bodies, and some of the functionality that strokes messed up started to restore relatively quickly. They were actually able to use ALA to restore brain functions in rats that had a stroke if they administered it very quickly after they had a stroke. So that is not something to gloss over. Okay, I have added ALA into my stacks. I take ALA by itself with coffee sometimes. I mean, frankly, it's one of those things where it just goes and scavenges free radicals, right? It improves, it reduces oxidative stress in the brain. It's a powerful antioxidant. It increases glutathione. It increases acetylcholine concentrations in the brain. Right? It decreases acetylcholine esterase in the hippocampus. It does all these very, very impressive things and is absolutely considered a nootropic. Doses and caveats. The dose range really is 50. I mean, some folks might even want to start at 25 based on the caveat I'm going to give, but we'll just sort of stop it at 50. 50 to 200 milligrams of ALA is really the normal dose range. I don't have to take a lot of it for me to notice the effects. Just about 50 is where I'm at. 50 milligrams ALA, with 2 ounces of espresso in a 16-ounce iced coffee. It's a regular iced coffee with some espresso in it, and I'm golden, right? I run in the morning, and so if I don't take any nootropics that day, dude, it's a nootropic. That's a nootropic stack. ALA and caffeine is a nootropic stack, guys. Okay, it's very powerful. And that's essentially my dose right around 50. You can go up to 200. You'll have to see where you're at. But the caveat is that ALA is a massive antioxidant. Okay, it's also used to chelate metals, heavy metals, out of the body. Take heavy metals out of the body. So the caution is if you're toxic, if you're a long-time alcoholic, you have mercury poisoning, you have bad gut bacteria that are releasing lipopolysaccharides into your bloodstream and poisoning you. If you have slow bowel transit and food kind of just sits there and gets the toxins from your food, when it gets broken down in the bowels, sit there and reabsorb in your body because you're not moving it out. Well, taking ALA is going to detox you. I don't know if any of you have ever really gone through taking a particular compound that detoxes the body, basically dumps toxins from one organ or your joints or your lymph fluid or something to somewhere else in the body. If you don't get them out quick enough, meaning if you don't basically get them out via waste one way or the other, you guys know what I'm talking about, then you could feel crappy. You could essentially feel crappy. So for those of you that think you're toxic at some level, you might want to start at lower doses. You could use ALA as a way to detox the body from a variety of things, including heavy metals. That's just something to look out for. If you're particularly toxic and you think you are, if you've got chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, which seem to have roots in major systemic metal toxicity and otherwise toxicity, you want to kind of be careful there. But otherwise, if all things are functioning well, ALA is a super nootropic. Thoroughly impressed with it, and that is the lowdown. Thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? Ryan here. Thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate you being with me. But listen, if you're serious about taking your nootropics game to another level, to the pro level, if you're serious about learning more about nootropics and fully understanding how to surgically use nootropics, that Smarter, Better, Faster guide that you see on the screen, that's the guide for you. It's a very powerful digital guide that you can download for any device you have that'll teach you about nootropics, give you a bunch of powerful stacks. That's for new people, and it's for people that have been in the game for 5 years or more. And then if you're interested in learning strictly about racetams, or if you just want 80 plus pro racetam stacks, we lay that out. We break down each racetam and we give you the sublingual and the oral stacks. These are combinations of racetams and a bunch of other compounds that give you very particularly powerful brain states.
get it at the Racetam God Guide. That's a digital guide that you can download and start getting access to the information right away. And if you are looking for a nootropic stack that delivers everything, I mean, look, Cortex, our stack, that's our pre-made nootropic stack. We sell it in 12 countries. Wall Street folks, business people, corporate people, nootropic experimenters, everybody else in between, speech givers. I mean, folks that give speeches for a living, get the stack, use the stack, religiously use the stack. If you're looking for an all-out balanced stack, a stack that an entrepreneur, after 6.5 years of being an entrepreneur and having a lot of demand on his brain created, that's me. That's my stack. Get it at livecortex.com. It's being called the only pre-made stack that works. Very powerful frontal lobe, mental energy, speed of processing, motivation, nootropic stack, basically for productivity. Okay, get all that stuff at livecortex.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you next time.